Daylenn, an 18-year-old young man living in Hawaii, vanished under mysterious circumstances in February 2015. Standing at 5 foot 7 inches tall and weighing 150 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes, Daylenn was visiting Oahu for a school field trip and staying with his grandmother over the weekend when he decided to embark on a solo hike that would ultimately lead to his disappearance. This journey would take place at the infamous Haiku Stairs, also known as the Stairway to Heaven. This steep hiking trail on Oahu consists of nearly 4,000 steps and was originally constructed during World War II to provide access to US Navy communication facilities. Despite its amazing views, the stairs have been officially closed to the public since 1987 due to safety concerns. Those who attempt to hike the trail can be charged with criminal trespass and face potential fines. However, the allure of the challenging climb and unique views continues to attract adventurous hikers, many of whom ignore the posted warnings and restrictions. On February 27, 2015, Daylenn started his adventure out to the stairs despite his grandmother's explicit warnings about the dangers and illegality of hiking the stairs. The day began early. He was last seen boarding a bus, presumably headed straight to the stairs without any other stops. Daylenn was wearing a white long-sleeve t-shirt, black surf shorts, and slippers. He also carried a red backpack, likely containing supplies for his journey. As he began his ascent of the stairs, he documented his journey by taking photographs. At approximately 11 a.m., he sent several of these images to his family and friends. These photos would later become crucial pieces of evidence in the investigation of his disappearance. The images captured stunning views of the lush Hawaiian landscape and the steep winding staircase that Daylenn was climbing. One photo in particular would later become the subject of intense scrutiny and speculation. When examined closely, this image appears to show an unidentified figure crouching in the undergrowth some distance behind Daylenn. The presence of this individual has led to various theories about what might have happened to the young hiker. Investigators and Daylenn's family spent a particularly large amount of time mulling over this image, attempting to discern any clues about the identity or intentions of the unknown figure. Was this simply another hiker taking a rest, or could it be someone with more sinister motives, possibly following Daylenn up the trail? Authorities issued a public appeal for any information about the identity of the person in the background. However, despite these efforts, no one came forward to claim they were the figure in the photo or to provide any information about their presence on the trail that day. The timing of these final photos adds some interesting context to the case. Sent around 11 a.m., they provided a timestamp for Daylenn's last known location and activity. This information helped investigators establish a timeline for his disappearance and narrow down the search area. Weather conditions on the day the photos were taken may have played a significant role in the events that unfolded. Reports indicate that the area experienced intermittent rain and poor visibility, factors that could have made the already treacherous trail even more hazardous. The misty conditions evident in some of the photos support these reports and suggest that Daylenn was hiking in challenging circumstances. The photos also provide insight into his state of mind during the hike. The fact that he was taking and sending photos indicates that he was in good spirits and eager to share his experience with loved ones. This behavior seems inconsistent with someone who might have been planning to disappear voluntarily, lending credence to the theory that whatever happened to Daylenn was likely unintended. The search began on Saturday, February 28th, after Daylenn failed to return from his hike. His grandmother had alerted authorities when he didn't come home, knowing he had expressed interest in hiking the stairs despite her warnings. The Honolulu Fire Department took the lead in organizing the initial search efforts. Captain Paul Bass reported that the first crews arrived at the scene around 6:30 or 7 a.m. on Saturday. However, they immediately faced a significant challenge: the weather. Paul described the conditions as, quote, raining cats and dogs, which severely limited visibility and made the already tough terrain even more dangerous. Due to these poor conditions, the search teams were forced to regroup and wait until around 8:30 a.m. before they could seriously begin searching. As the search progressed, it grew to include a wide array of agencies and resources. This included the police department, US Navy, local volunteers, family members, and more. Teams of firefighters, police officers, and volunteers conducted systematic sweeps of the stairs and adjacent areas, while helicopters and drones were used to search areas that were inaccessible on foot. Search dogs were brought in to try and pick up Daylenn's scent. However, the heavy rains that had fallen in the days following his disappearance significantly hampered these efforts. Again, the weather was extremely bad at the time, which not only made the area more dangerous for searchers, but also potentially washed away any physical evidence or scent trails. Furthermore, the low-hanging clouds and mist further hampered aerial search efforts by skewing their vision. By March 3rd, the official search was suspended, but regardless, Daylenn's family members continued their search. Given the lack of concrete evidence and the mysterious circumstances surrounding his vanishing, several possibilities have been proposed and debated by investigators, family members, and the public. The most prevalent theory is that Daylenn may have suffered an accidental fall while hiking the stairs. This theory is supported by several factors, including the hazardous nature of the area, poor weather conditions, and a recent landslide that had further destabilized parts of the trail. Proponents of this theory suggest that Daylenn may have slipped on wet stairs or unstable ground, falling into an area not easily visible or accessible to searchers. The conditions could have made it extremely difficult to locate him or any evidence of an accident. The lack of physical evidence, despite extensive searches, could be explained by the dense vegetation and steep terrain, which might have concealed evidence of a fall. While less supported by evidence, some speculate that Daylenn may have encountered someone with malicious intent. This theory calls back to that one image we looked at earlier, which included the unknown figure. The remote and restricted nature of the stairs could provide an opportunity for a potential assailant to act without witnesses. However, law enforcement seems to lean away from this theory. A less common but still discussed theory is that Daylenn may have chosen to disappear voluntarily. This idea is based on the allure of a fresh start and the lack of any physical traces, which could be interpreted as intentional if he had planned to disappear. However, this theory is generally considered unlikely given Daylenn's close relationship with his family and his future plans, including his interest in culinary arts. Another possibility is that he became disoriented on the trail and succumbed to the elements. The area around the stairs includes multiple trails and dense forest, where a hiker could easily lose their way. The rapid weather changes common in the area could have led to hypothermia or other weather-related health issues. On March 2nd, 2015, hikers reported hearing cries for help in very windy conditions. While rescuers couldn't locate the source, this could potentially have been Daylenn if he had become lost or trapped. A less discussed but intriguing theory is that he might have survived for some time in a remote area. There were reports of lights seen on the mountainside in the days following the disappearance, which some speculate could have been from Daylenn's phone. The area surrounding the stairs includes vast stretches of wilderness where someone could potentially survive for an extended period. However, the lack of any evidence supporting long-term survival in the area makes this theory less plausible as time passes. While less likely given the local fauna, some have speculated about a possible encounter with wildlife. The area is known to have feral pigs, which, while not typically aggressive towards humans, could potentially pose a threat if cornered or protecting young. Alternatively, an encounter with wildlife could have led to a fall or other accident while trying to avoid the animal. Joaquin Sperani was a 14-year-old boy from La Bulay, a small town of about 20,000 residents in Argentina's central province of Cordoba. Those who knew him described Joaquin as a shy and respectful teenager. He was the eldest of 5 siblings in a close-knit family. His father, Martin, worked as a truck driver, while his mother, Mariela, was deeply involved in her children's lives at home. The family was well regarded in their community, often spending time with other families, including that of Joaquin's best friend. He was a diligent student who regularly rode his bicycle to school, a detail that would later become significant in the investigation of his disappearance. Despite his generally positive demeanor, there were indications that Joaquin may have faced challenges at school. His mother later revealed that he had suffered from bullying, though the extent and nature of that were not fully clear in the immediate aftermath of the tragedy. He had a close friendship with a 13-year-old schoolmate who would later become the main suspect in his murder. The two boys had been friends since elementary school, often spending time together both in and out of school. Mariela said the following regarding the two boys' relationship. He was a lifelong friend of Joaquin. They went to elementary school together. They were there at each other's birthday parties. The Sperani family and the family of Joaquin's friend were also close, with Mariela mentioning, as a family, we would go to their country home. There was nothing there that ever caught our attention. This close relationship between the families added to the shock and disbelief that followed the tragic events of June 2023. On the morning of June 29, 2023, 14-year-old Joaquin began what seemed like an ordinary school day in his quiet town. He rode his bicycle to school as he did every day. The school day proceeded normally until the lunch break, when events took an unexpected and disturbing turn. Security camera footage, later obtained by authorities, captured Joaquin and his 13-year-old best friend leaving the school grounds during their lunch break. The two boys appeared happy and relaxed, walking side by side as they made their way to an abandoned house located approximately 100 meters from the school. This seemingly innocuous moment would be the last time Joaquin was seen alive. As the afternoon classes resumed, Joaquin's absence went initially unnoticed. His bicycle remained tied to the school fence. When he failed to return home after school, his parents became increasingly concerned. By nightfall, with no word from their son, they made the decision to contact the local police and report his disappearance. The disappearance of a child in such a small town quickly became an immense matter of community concern. Local authorities immediately launched a search operation, mobilizing police personnel, firefighters, and agents from the Department of High-Risk Units. The search efforts were further bolstered by the participation of approximately 90 volunteers from the community. As the search intensified, Joaquin's 13-year-old friend, who would later become the primary suspect, allegedly began to provide false information to the authorities. This misinformation apparently led investigators astray, focusing their initial efforts on the southern and western areas of La Boulaye. The friend's actions, posing as a key witness while providing contradictory information, would later be seen as a deliberate attempt to hinder the investigation and delay the discovery of Joaquin's fate. The search continued for over 48 hours, with growing concern and desperation among Joaquin's family, friends, and the wider community. On Saturday, July 1st, the community's worry manifested in a march. During this event, Joaquin's father expressed gratitude for the community's support, stating, "Without you, I don't know what we would do. You are the pillar that we have." Commissioner Daniel Carreras, who was leading the investigation, addressed the marchers, attempting to reassure them of the ongoing efforts to find the child. He emphasized that all available technological tools were being utilized, including the analysis of public and private security camera footage. Daniel also cautioned against the spread of rumors and false information, acknowledging the circulation of incorrect versions of events on the streets. The breakthrough in the case came on Sunday, July 2nd, approximately 72 hours after the disappearance. On this day, the search effort shifted focus, beginning at Joaquin's school and working outward. It was during this renewed search that a group of neighbors and relatives of Joaquin made the grim discovery that would bring the search to an unfortunate end. At around 480 Sarmiento Street, on the corner of Dairo, stood an abandoned house just 100 meters from Joaquin's school. As the search party entered this building, they were met with the lifeless body of Joaquin Sperani. One of the local residents who found the body said the following: "We were walking with two of his cousins and we passed an abandoned house. We went inside and as soon as we entered, we saw the body. The cousins started screaming. It was like a horror movie. I saw the body and I couldn't believe it. After that, we called the police and they took us out of the place." Preliminary autopsy data revealed the brutal nature of the death. Joaquin had suffered severe head trauma, receiving at least 10 blows to the head. Disturbingly, there was no evidence that he had fought back, suggesting he may have been caught entirely off guard by the attack. Either that, or he was outnumbered and put in a position where it was impossible to make an effort to fight back. Shortly after the discovery of the body, the 13-year-old best friend confessed to the authorities that he had committed the crime. This confession sent shockwaves through the community, as the two boys had been known to be close friends since elementary school. Further details from the investigation revealed that the murder weapon was not a single item, but rather a combination of objects found at the crime scene. Initially, the attacker used an iron bar to strike Joaquin. Then, in a horrifying escalation of violence, he continued the assault using a piece of concrete. This information suggests a frenzied and sustained attack rather than a momentary loss of control. The location of the crime added another disturbing element to the case. The choice of location also raised questions about whether the attack was premeditated, as the abandoned house could have been chosen specifically for its seclusion. In his confession, the 13-year-old allegedly stated that he killed Joaquin because he, quote, was very angry. However, the specific reasons for this anger were not immediately clear, leaving both investigators and the community searching for answers. This vague motive has led to speculation about underlying issues in the boys' relationship, despite their apparent close friendship. The confession and subsequent investigation also brought to light potential warning signs that had been overlooked. If you recall, I mentioned that Joaquin was bullied. Mariela accused the school management of not addressing her previous complaints about this issue. This information suggested that there might have been ongoing tensions or conflicts that escalated to this tragic outcome. Despite the confession, Joaquin's family has expressed doubts about whether the 13-year-old acted alone. They believe there might have been accomplices involved in the murder. The aftermath has been equally distressing. The 13-year-old's return to his parents' care, albeit under strict conditions, has caused further anguish for Joaquin's family. Mariela expressed her anger at the situation, describing it as a splash of cold water and questioning the justice system's approach to such a serious crime committed by a minor. As the investigation continued, several possible motives and theories have emerged. In his confession, the 13-year-old allegedly stated that he committed the crime because he was angry. This vague explanation has led to extensive speculation about what caused this anger. Experts in juvenile psychology have been consulted to understand how such intense anger could manifest in a young teenager and lead to such a violent act. The sudden and extreme nature of the crime suggests that there may have been underlying issues brewing beneath the surface of their seemingly close friendship. This theory goes a bit deeper and suggests that the attacker had romantic feelings toward Joaquin. In fact, it was Mariela who suggested that the attacker was in love with her son. Adolescence is a time of intense emotions and developing sexuality, and unrequited feelings or confusion about one's orientation could potentially lead to intense frustration or anger. On the other hand, this act of violence may have been a result of bullying gone too far. Investigators are examining whether there were ongoing tensions or conflicts that may have escalated to this outcome. The possibility that the perpetrator may have been a bully himself or perhaps was also a victim of bullying is being considered. This angle raises questions about the school environment and whether there were warning signs that went unnoticed or unaddressed, as Mariela had suggested. Other more fringe theories include mental health issues, the influence of media and video games, poor family dynamics, peer pressure, and even substance abuse. But again, those particular ideas are not based on any concrete evidence and are no more than shots in the dark. Under Argentine law, individuals under 16 years of age cannot be held criminally responsible for their actions. This legal framework, enacted in 1980, has been a subject of controversy and criticism for being outdated and not in line with current international standards. Following his confession, the killer was initially held in the Admission and Diagnostic Center, which is part of the Esperanza complex in the city of Cordoba. This facility is designed for the temporary housing and evaluation of minors who have committed serious offenses. However, the legal proceedings took an unexpected turn when the perpetrator's defense lawyer requested that the teenager be returned to his parents' care. This request was based on a ruling from the Superior Court of Justice issued on September 25, 2023, which urged juvenile criminal judges to, quote, seek alternatives other than internment for minors who commit crimes but are not criminally liable due to their age. Judge Sebastian Moro made the controversial decision to release the teenager to his parents' custody. This decision was met with significant public outcry and anger from Joaquin's family. As part of the release conditions, the court imposed several restrictions and requirements. These included the teenager not being allowed to leave his house without authorization, he must undergo individual and family psychotherapeutic treatment, and he must be relocated to another city away from where the crime occurred.